You were listening to a Nerd Room podcast, a member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Be sure to check out more from the Star Wars Commonwealth on the web at starwarscommonwealth.com and take your first steps into a larger world. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Nerd Room, where we talk all things Star Wars, Marvel, and DC. This is episode number 97, where we're discussing Star Wars collecting in 2017. Now, I'm one of your hosts, Tim, and this week we have a very special guest. He's coming to us from Tumbling Saber podcast. He's our collecting brother from across the country, my dude, Cory.
How's it going, Timmy?
Oh, man, I'm so pumped to finally have you here on the podcast, and we're talking collecting this week. How you been, man?
Dude, yeah, it's been a really intense year in that regard, so we got a lot to talk about, but just everything's been going good, and it's amazing to talk to you again, man. It's actually been a while, but I mean, we've been communicating via social media we do all the time, so, but anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good year for us, man.
It has been, and we've been sending packages back and forth filled with Black Series figures and going just nuts with the collecting this year. I feel like this year more so than most, my collecting has been really focused in on, but it's also taken kind of a step back, and I've really gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, it's Black Series, Elite Series, Funko Pops, 40th anniversary. So as much as I've tried to focus, I've also expanded a bit. Are you kind of feeling the same way about your Star Wars collecting this year?
Oh, we'll talk about it, man. But
yes,
yeah, it's kind of it's out of control.
I love listening to you guys talk and do your collecting updates every week on Tumbling Saber. It's like one of my favorite parts is you jump right into the episode. It's like, okay, the collecting update, and then I just hear what you're getting, and it's just like, oh my god, I gotta get out on the hunt.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still missing quite a few things, man. Like, it's not so hot out here right now, and it's kind of disappointing.
Yeah, well, we're building into that Last Jedi, and I'm hoping that we get another drop of figures here in the near future, that wave 3 that we're kind of starting to see trickle out in the United States and in the eastern parts of the country. So hopefully at some point, both of us will get our hands on some of that. But before we get into any of that, one thing, gotta level with you guys. Troy will be calling into this episode. We had this big plan, we're gonna do this big collecting episode, but unfortunately, he's having big issues with Skype at the moment. So we're expecting Troy to jump in just a little bit later, hopefully when we get into discussing a bit more on the Star Wars collecting in 2017. But there was something big that happened last week, and I had your brother, you're the other part of the dynamic duo Tumbling Saber, jump onto the podcast last week and fill the shoes of Troy and Sanjay to talk about Infinity War. And I know, my dude, you're a big Marvel fan, MCU fan. I gotta hear some of your thoughts on the Infinity War trail just before we get into some more Star Wars talk.
Well, I had to listen to the show last week, and well done on both your part. Yeah, the Infinity War. Oh my god, like you guys kind of. You nailed most of the big points, right? Like the big thing is, like, think about it, man. Like it feels like yesterday Iron Man came out in 2008, and it's a 10-year time span. It's completely unprecedented.
It is.
And for the most part, they've knocked a lot of them out of the park. They've dropped the ball a bit here and there but for the most part, it's been a very cohesive and believable universe. These characters are most likely going to be the characters we know and love for a very long time. Like those actors as those characters, like Robert Downey Jr. is forever going to be Iron Man in a way, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's just the way it is. Like, whereas, you know, DC's kind of struggled in that department. You know, there's been so many reiterations of things and just trying to get their universe going. Like, this is a 10-year thing that's culminating now. And yeah, it looks huge, man. Like, if it's anything, if it is going to lead to, like, the Infinity Gauntlet, like, if it's anything like the comic, like it's going to be a bloodbath, man.
It certainly is. And like we had talked about last week about this being kind of this very conclusive trailer. Like it feels like it's the beginning of the end for a lot of these characters. And you're talking about Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Hemsworth being the definitive character, the definitive actor that's playing this character for our generation at least, probably our children's generation, and probably another generation to come. But it's going to be almost upsetting and scary going into Infinity War and Avengers 4 for what could happen to these characters. Are you at all concerned about watching this trailer and seeing like, okay, we're starting to see this be a big culmination, 22 movies by the time we get to Avengers 4. Are you worried about this universe changing so much that it doesn't look the same as it has for the past 10 years?
Yeah, I would have to say a little because I have heard rumors that I think it's they're culminating. This is phase 3 right now that they're finishing with, right?
Yeah, Avengers 4 will be the end of it.
Okay, so I've heard phase 4 rumors, I guess. Nothing really confirmed at this point, but it's going to be the characters like Spider-Man taking the lead, which would mean that there was some kind of change in the dynamic of who's kind of at the top of the leadership.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I think it's kind of a bit weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, like the smaller characters, like not smaller, but characters like Black Panther, who people aren't as familiar with, are they going to be able to carry the franchise? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's the tough thing is that you're looking at characters, like you said, Black Panther, Spider-Man, and, 10 years ago, would you have said that this universe could have been carried by Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor? Probably not. So it comes down to how they push these characters within Infinity War and how they come out the back end of this. I think between Captain Marvel, Black Panther, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, you can carry the weight of the universe, but you're going to need to supplement it here and there with characters like Captain America, whether it's cameo roles, Iron Man, whether it's cameo roles again, or some of the big news that's dropped again recently is this Fox Disney deal. It's back on the table. The $60 billion deal for a good chunk of Fox's rights and properties are going to come over to Disney if this purchase goes through, which opens the door for the X-Men and Fantastic Four. We've talked about this on the podcast before, but this deal actually looks like it's going to go through. Do you see those characters maybe carrying this universe or this franchise through into Phase 4 and beyond? Would you be happy to move away from the status quo of the MCU currently into more of a revamping, rebooting of X-Men and Fantastic Four?
Well, what I think, I mean, I'm just so ecstatic about that whole possibility to have like an Avengers and X-Men crossover would be so cool. Just to complete that universe would be, I don't know, it'd be amazing, man. Like they'd have so much more story room to play for. And we know how the X-Men kind of like to play in time.
Yep.
So you can kind of reboot things in that regard as well. Like you can get Captain America back in the mix after that, and maybe they'll finish Phase 4 and then reintegrate. Like maybe that's the plan. Like let's snatch up 20th Century Fox now before, like because they still got a bit of time there. If they do purchase the rights to these franchises, then they can get teams working on them right away, right?
Yeah, you could really see a movie like this maybe dropping in 2022, 2023, once you get through the back end of Infinity War and you've got kind of a notional idea what the initial phases of Phase 4 is going to look like. We're going to have a Guardians 3, Spider-Man 2, Doctor Strange 2. So you're going to have an idea of what this universe is going to look like. But like you're saying is that you take away some of these big characters. You need to add in other characters to help prop up the universe. We know we're going to get a Black Panther 2 and all that. But I would love to see them come in and even in Avengers 4 somehow seed the idea of the X-Men or Fantastic Four. Like I always had pictured with the Inhumans is that at the end of Infinity War or Avengers 4 was going to be essentially the birth of the Inhumans. So if you look back in the comic books, there's an event called Infinity from 2013 that we spoke about in the past. And what happens there is this thing called the Terrigenum bomb goes off. Now that's been kind of paralleled and used within Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but if you had a much bigger framing of the birth of the Inhumans through Infinity War and essentially Black Bolt lighting off this Terrigenum bomb to stop Thanos, and you get this expansion of the Inhumans, they could do something similar with the X-Men, essentially that whatever happens on the Earth post-Thanos or post-Infinity War or Avengers 4 actually seeds the idea or nucleates the mutants, so that mutant gene is actually born out of what happens in Infinity War and Avengers 4, and you kind of seed it from there.
I like the way you think, son. Dude, that's a really, really, really interesting thought, man.
Because the problem with the mutants is that you have to then retcon. If you don't go point forward, you have to then retcon why the mutants have never been an issue, why they've never been brought up during any Inhuman show or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., or why you haven't seen any of this going on. You can't just say, oh, it was happening just off screen. That's too big of a thing to be happening. So it's almost like you can roll into, and I spoke last week about doing the Skrulls, so you could seed the Skrulls, plus have the X-Men kind of seeded there, the mutant gene, that mutation happening, the M gene, or the X gene, sorry, kind of all that happening during Avengers 4, and then all of a sudden, boom, this explosion of mutants. And you kind of just roll with it from there, and then you start to build up kind of the young X-Men, that teenage X-Men that we're familiar with from the comic books, and that they're kind of starting to tease in the new universe, the rebooted universe, or whatever it's called, and just kind of go from there. You kind of miss out on, Professor X. How do you fit in an older leader, Magneto? There's a lot of key characters that you need to work backwards into it. So I'm not sure exactly
Wolverine.
Wolverine. So I'm not exactly sure how you integrate it, but they're going to have to find a way if they do get the rights back. The absence of big characters like Captain America and Iron Man, say, they need to be supplemented, the universe does at least, by characters like Wolverine, Reed Richards, like Johnny Storm. You know what I mean? Like they've got to fill out kind of that gap and bring in new characters. And that's what they're trying to do. But I think just having X-Men and Fantastic Four and doing it slowly, I don't want all of a sudden there just to be a million mutants and you kind of get this mess of powers like you have with the Inhumans. It needs to be properly thought out and put on the table and say, this is what's happened. This is how we're integrating. So I don't know, maybe you could see some stuff from the prequel that we're getting from Captain Marvel as well.
That's true. That's kind of interesting that it's taking place in the 90s, and she's going to be in Infinity War as well, no?
Yeah, I think in a cameo role. I don't think she'll be kind of the pedestal character or a character that gets a lot of focus. She may come in at the end, but I think they're using her movie to seed something for Phase 4, like the Skrulls. Like Kyle and I discussed that in quite a bit of detail last week. But there's so many moving pieces at this point. And then you look back at this trailer and you're like, there's even more that have been kind of tossed out there. So it's a really, really great time for the Marvel, for the MCU, and for us fans of the MCU, because we're getting kind of everything we ever wanted out of it.
Yeah, they've done a really, really, really bang-up job in planning for a long-term project, and it panned out for them in a big way.
It definitely did. And no other universe has been able to replicate this for whatever reason. Star Wars has done a good job at creating a cohesive universe now with the kind of splaying off and doing the Star Wars story films and fitting that into the universe, and then Rian Johnson's new trilogy here. So they're starting to kind of mold the universe into somewhat of a cinematic universe where you're stepping away from the Skywalker saga. So you're starting to see a bit of that reflected in the Star Wars universe, but nowhere else have they been able to accomplish what Marvel and the MCU have done. And
not on that scale anyhow.
No. Yeah. You get like trilogies and, Batman, The Dark Knight and all that, but this scale is unprecedented, like you said. And man, I just had to hear some of your thoughts there, because it's so exciting. And then to see this evolve into this Disney Fox deal as well, like, oh man, I just want it to be all back in one house, under one umbrella, and just done properly. Take your time, Marvel, Disney, whomever's controlling this. Make this Fox deal happen and bring us the Fantastic Four, bring us the X-Men.
Yeah, in proper fashion.
Yeah, exactly. And let's do it and tie it into the wider MCU. Like imagine if we're sitting down talking in 5-10 years about what the MCU looks like on its 15th anniversary, on its 20th anniversary. Like, how wild is that? Like, we just went through this year the 40th anniversary of Star Wars, and you have a handful of movies. Think about the 20th anniversary of the MCU and how we'd probably have like 40 movies. Like, it's crazy to think about.
Yeah, it really is, to be honest. That's these universes, like Star Wars. I've said this on our pod before, that it starts to be like a marker of the passage of time if they consistently put out movies and we're like, podcasting about them and whatnot. It's just I so vividly remember each one so far, like The Force Awakens, Rogue One. No, I mean, The Last Jedi is almost a week away.
It's crazy.
Yeah, like I'll never forget this. In 2012, when I heard that Disney had bought the rights to Lucasfilm, I was ecstatic, right? But 2012 was the year my son was born, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I always said to myself, I said, oh, like what's he gonna be like when The Force Awakens, or when the first movie drops, so there was that whole passage of time, and I remember that, like, the movie coming out and me looking at him and that, like, wow, it's already here, like
it's wild, because I love that. I remember listening to the show and you guys talking about how Star Wars has marked points in your life. You go back to even what we're going to talk about in a few minutes in collecting, is you guys talk about remembering specific things about comic books and collecting, and I'm the same way. And with the movies, it's like, yeah, I remember where I was, who I was with during these particular moments in my life. Oh, All right, sorry, we got Troy, the boy.
Oh, did it work?
It worked. We're in the middle of the pod. Troy, the boy, has just dropped in.
Oh man, sorry for the delay, guys.
It's all good.
What's going on?
We just finished talking a bit about the Infinity War trailer, but
Nice.
I got to get your thoughts. We got to calibrate here, boys. We've got 8 days, 7 days when this pod drops to The Last Jedi. We're just discussing how important Star Wars has been kind of through our lives, marking those significant moments, and how it's kind of always been there for us, something to rely on, to fall back to. How are you guys feeling right now about The Last Jedi? And how are you feeling? Like, we're not going to get into any spoilers or anything like that, but what's your excitement level like? We've got 8 days, 7 days, as I said, when this pod drops. Like, we're literally going to be sitting there in the theater. Like, for us, Troy, we're going to be 2 hours in to the film in 8 days from now.
Oh man, I'm over the moon. I'm totally amped up. I mean, I feel spoiled. We got the Infinity War trailer that just dropped, and then we got Last Jedi just around the corner, and we got the books, and we got the comics, and we got the Black Series, and everything, man, it's coming at us full tilt. So I'm just, oh man, hyped on another level. I can't wait. Can't wait till the 14th.
It's gonna be incredible.
Crazy.
Cory, how you feeling over there, man? I know you guys have, you're right into it on Tumbling Saber. You're kind of into the weeds of the spoilers and all that, but high level, how you feeling, man?
I'm okay with the amount that I know thus far. Like, I don't feel like I've spoiled myself. I feel like the trailers have given enough away to kind of give you a good outline of the film. But yeah, honestly, like when I really actually do contemplate it, like I it's almost like I feel my armpits getting sweaty, like I don't know. It's almost like anxiety in a way. Like, it's exciting. I guess exciting is the real good word, because I know, like, we make a night of it, and just being there with everybody, and the crawl comes up, and I don't know. There's just something about it that's surreal, and even now it's not real. It's only going to be real once I'm in the theater, and even then it's going to feel like a dream,
Yeah, I feel like once the credits roll, we're all going to be like, what just happened? And it's like, okay, back in line. Let's get back in the theater.
Exactly. Like, I almost feel like I can't do this on a first viewing though, but it's almost like I feel like I want to bring a notepad or something,
Yeah. Oh.
or bootleg it.
Yeah, because that's one of the things.
I'm right there with. Sorry.
I was going to say, that's one of the things. You're trying to absorb so much in that first watching that you just miss kind of some of the nuances, I think. I think you get the movie there, you get that experience, but I don't know if you ever fully watched the film on your first viewing.
Yeah, it's the experience, and I just can't wait to get back to the crawl. Cory, you just mentioned the crawl, and going into Rogue One, and we're lacking that. It wasn't there, so I can't wait to dive right back into the saga films now and pick up the story from Force Awakens. I'm just so amped for this story.
Actually, I think next week on Tumbling Saber, we're gonna get into. I think we wrote them over a year ago. Well, it couldn't have been a year ago. It was not too. It was a while ago, like maybe 8-9 months. No, it could have been a year ago. Anyhow, it was for the we wrote our own crawls for The Last Jedi, like having known nothing.
Nice.
And that's the thing. Beware, there's spoilers out there. Kyle actually read the real crawl. He believes he read it. Like,
really?
And yeah, our good friend Carlos Candido as well. Like, I was talking to him maybe 2 minutes before the show, and he was saying that he found out who Rey's parents are.
What?
Yeah. So that stuff's flying around there now.
That's huge. What?
Yeah,
crazy.
That's bad.
Well,
bad.
And I've almost completely disconnected from a lot of the groups that we're in. Some of the chats, I really filter myself out on TSW VIP, on the Star Wars Commonwealth chat and all that, just because I'm at a point now where I want to experience this. I want to experience this as a common moviegoer. And, that's required us to take a step back a little bit on the podcast. But at the end of the day, I'm really happy I don't know those things yet. I'm trying as hard as I can to put the blinders on for the next week or so.
Yeah, I got you there. Like, I don't want to know much more anyway. But anyhow, I don't have the hard copy of what I had written, but Kyle has it like recorded, obviously, so we'll probably play it. But I do remember the last bit that I wrote on it. I almost nailed it. Like Kyle said, the mix of R2 is kind of like a good idea of what it actually is. He said we did a really good job. But mine, instead of The Last Jedi, I wrote The Lost Jedi.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
so
man.
close. So close.
Well, that's something too that we've talked a bit about in the past is what's this crawl going to be? Because this is the first time that we're picking up right off the back end of another movie. So how do you feel in a crawl?
It was hard. It was hard to write, actually. We knew that I think when we wrote it, we knew that it was supposed to. The movie was starting right where The Force Awakens left off, so I think that's what kind of inspired us to do it. So anyway, we had at it.
I look forward to hearing all your thoughts there on Tumbling Saber next Tuesday in the build into The Last Jedi. It's going to be crazy. But today here, gentlemen, we're here to talk about Star Wars collecting in 2017. You know, we've got The Last Jedi Talk is going to consume Star Wars Commonwealth podcast for the next 2 weeks. So what I wanted to do tonight was I want to take an opportunity to talk about Star Wars collecting, because the three of us, we're big collectors, and that's really come a long way in 2017. We've joined forces a few times to help each other out on collecting. You know, we're constantly tossing back and forth images, and I want to experience from your guys' perspective what you think Star Wars collecting has become for yourselves in 2017. I want to hear about some of your biggest regret purchases, some of your biggest and best purchases, and also how your collecting has evolved from, say, when you started when you were younger into your teenage years and into now well into your adult years, where we've become really intense collectors, almost teetering on the edge of obsession. So I'm really looking forward tonight to just getting down into the brass tacks of collecting. And how I really want to start it off here is I just want to discuss a bit about what Star Wars collecting actually looks like now. You look at it 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and what it is today. Star Wars itself has penetrated what would be almost every single corner of merchandising. We've got bananas with Star Wars stickers on them. There's everything you can think of: shoes, shirts, action figures. Anywhere you look at this point, especially leading into the big saga films, you see Star Wars on everything. How are you guys feeling about collecting and the difficulty of almost focusing that down to something that you can call yourself a collector and not just someone that gets everything?
Yeah, you know, I think I've calmed down quite a bit this year. You know, well, calmed down and stayed kind of consistent, I guess. I've stripped down from, like, I guess, the elite things. I didn't get too much of the elite stuff. I've always been pretty much just a Black Series collector. But I found that the market here has gotten better. I feel like it's a lot easier for us to get these figures as opposed to before. Last couple of Force Fridays, it's been pretty difficult. But now I feel like, you know, it hits the market pretty well over here. I haven't had too much of the hardest time finding anything. But basically, I kind of scaled back just to exclusively Black Series for 2017. That's going to change 2018. But I haven't really had a hard time finding too many things, especially EB Games and Toys R Us and the Walmarts. Those three have been pretty good, I'd have to say, for the most part.
What are you saying these days, Cory? Like, how are you finding Star Wars collecting in 2017? Like, we had talked a lot in the past about Hasbro and the distribution issues that we're seeing, and now that you're seeing so much Star Wars, I'm with you, Troy. I'm seeing the same thing. I'm not having a hard time finding the figures or the Legos or the comics or anything. It seems to be all readily available. Like, we always talking about, you know, out in the hunt, and the hunt is real. But at this point in time, it's become kind of like shooting a fish in a barrel for at least these last couple of waves of Black Series. When you compare it to Rogue One, when you compare it to the Force Awakens, and the original run of the Black Series, are you finding the same thing, Cory, when you're running around collecting this year?
Well, it's interesting because, I mean, this is to be honest, this is the first year I've really actually collected, right? Like, before that, I kind of got a thing here and there, and it was kind of like a dormant thing. The lead up to the Phantom Menace, Kyle and I, like, throughout our entire teenage years, you know, like when we knew it was going on, like, and even before that, we had Star Wars throughout our whole lives, you know. So, but at that point, when we knew it was going down, like, Kyle became a serious collector at that point. Mm-hmm. And he actually had disposable income because he was, you know, he had his first job and all that stuff. And like, wow, we had so much then, but in between those years, I mean, I really took a step back, and this is the first year where I've actually kind of dove in, and I dove in head first, man. I didn't know what I was getting into because it's kind of a bit out of control now. Like, honestly, man, like, you name it, you know, like the Black Series, I really veered away from the 3 3/4, but I still got quite a few of them. Man, the comics, pretty much all the comics, like a lot of the books. It's so when I really think about it, it's really starting to take a bit of a toll, you know.
Oh yeah, it hurts the wallet.
Yeah.
So from your perspective, Cory, what what changed though for you? Was it the fact that Star Wars was kind of everywhere? It was a bit easier to find the collectibles. What made you change? Because I kind of went through a similar thing back when the original Black Series dropped. I believe it was in 2013 when they originally dropped. That's when I got back into collecting. That was kind of my catalyst for jumping into the craziest, and that now is my collection. Like you guys, I was always a collector, and it kind of ebbed and flowed. I have a lot of vintage figures. I have a lot of the Revenge of the Sith, and so as different points in my life, similar to the movies as we kind of talked about, I can pick individual points in my life when my collecting was quite intense and when it dropped off. And it's really only been within the last couple of years, really since the Disney purchase, that I found myself intensely back into collecting. What was that catalyst moment for you, Cory, in 2017 that made you get back into it? Because even just listening to Tumbling Saber, I've almost in the last year followed your collecting and the intensity level just through how you speak about it.
Yeah, I think you guys probably had a bit to do with it, you know? Like, I don't know if I should thank you or blame you or I don't know. I think it really started last year. Before Rogue One, I said to myself, I don't know, it was like the Force, man. Honestly, it's like something in the back of my mind was just saying, like, you got to get a K2SO. They're so nice. And I was like, and the 6-inch, you know, and I was like, that's a good idea. I'll just like put him on my desk or something. He's going to be awesome. And that's where it kind of started. And I just kept him in a little shoebox. And that's kind of where he stayed for a bit. And then Christmas came along and I asked for a whole bunch of stuff. And it's like one of the first Christmases that actually people got me what I wanted and not what I needed. So that was kind of, I guess, a bit of the catalyst. And then from there on in, it was, I don't know, it was a bit of a shit show, man. Like, it's like something inside of me. It's always been there. It's awake. I need help. But
yeah, it's kind of borders, I find, between, you know, passion, hobby, and obsession. Star Wars collecting. Sometimes I find myself on the wrong side of that line, and other times I'm very much so firmly in place at just a passion and a hobby. So it's funny because it's like you have to focus your collection, and if you don't do that, you end up with kind of this wild ass kind of mixture of different things that don't look good on shelves. Because that's one thing I'm always focused on, is it has to display well. It has to display nicely. Because otherwise it just becomes either because I'm moving now, I've got literally like 15 bins in the room right now I'm starting to pack everything up. And it's a shame to not have this stuff out. And so in the new place, I'm going to have almost everything out, which is going to be awesome. But I found that, like you guys, and like you were saying, Troy, I've taken a little step back in 2017. I've really focused in on, you know, the Black Series, the 40th anniversary Black Series, 3 3/4 inch, Funko Pops, you know, a few other things here and there. So I say focus in air quotes, but I find that if I didn't do that, I forgot about the Elite Series as well. So I find if I don't focus, I find it's cluttery. I find that I just am all over the place, and you're spending money on too many different things. And I'm finding focusing your collection allows you to focus what you're spending money on. So did you guys have a similar kind of almost personal type of renaissance or rethinking on how you collect? And what did you focus in on? Yeah, realization. What did you really focus in on 2017 for collecting Star Wars?
Well, I've been good for the most part in the sense that I kind of took... I'm attracted to the Black Series. Like that's been my main focus thus far. I haven't counted them in a while, but you know, I don't know. I want to ask you guys like how many you buy in a year, but I mean, I'm gonna include the 40th anniversary set.
Yeah.
And I think I must have over 60. You know, and this is all in a year, man. Like I don't know if that's a lot or a little. Like I don't know, man.
It's probably a lot.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah.
Like it's almost like too much, but it's insane when they come out. It's like I gotta get them, you know.
It's like a drug almost, right? It's that euphoric moment when you run into a store and you see that Thrawn figure that you really wanted and you thought you would never see. You grab it and it's just like, what is happening? Like this like that moment. It's hard to capture that moment. You have to be a collector to appreciate that. But those moments have been replicated probably 60 times for you throughout the year. And that's why you do it.
Yeah, pretty much. It's it's a definitely a rush. It's a release of dopamine or something.
Yeah.
But in regards to the displays there, for the most part, I hope it looks good. I mean, that's the other thing too. Like you kind of mentioned it. Like when you start dabbling and just buying haphazardly in a way, how are you going to display this kind of stuff afterward? You know, like what's what, and once you open one can of worms, it's like where do you stop? Okay, like I bought this bit of a series, like I should kind of round it out with these big characters now, and where does it end?
Yeah, the idea of a completionist collector is very difficult. Outside of like Steve Stansweet and Ryan Johnson, the guy that Kyle talked to on Saber Rattling, like I don't think you can be a completist in the world we live in as far as Star Wars collecting. There's just too much of it. You have to have,
Unless you were like a multi-millionaire and that was your job.
yeah, that would be awesome. Curating a Star Wars collection museum would be incredible. But it's almost it's just that, like you can't do everything anymore. It's not like there's just a single line of figures plus a few T-shirts and some serial tie-ins or something. It's everywhere. And Troy, I know you've been really intensifying over the last year or so as well, and I'll take credit for a good chunk of that. But how have you been focusing your collection here? I know you're big in the Black Series, and you didn't quite get into the 40th anniversary, but where has your focus been lying this year?
Yes, yeah. So strongly just with the Black Series and more just character driven. I've stayed away from Troopers because I know that would be a dark path for me to go down. So I stayed away from the Troopers, and I try and complete basically everything that they throw at us from the Rebels line. So I've pretty much caught up from Thrawn, Hera, and all of them. Pretty much, I think we just need an Ezra, and I need Rex. Rex is hard, and Zeb. Yeah, we need Zeb and Ezra to be released, and
Chopper.
Rex. And of course, with a Z, how could I forget that? So, but really that, I stocked up on my Vaders. That was my pride and joy this whole year was the Vader 40th. It comes with 4 stands. You can't go wrong with that. And for the price point there, I think for a minute you could get them for about $19. So you can't go wrong with that. But yeah, man, just sticking with the Black Series. I never dived into the 3 3/4, and I stayed away from the Elite Series. And I've never done the Lego since I was a kid there. So yeah, just 6-inch all day for me. Black Series. Yeah.
Well, the 3 3/4, me, like I don't know. I really stuck with like character. That's where I kind of went like, okay, these are characters that are not in Black Series, like Cad Bane and a lot of Clone Wars stuff, like the cartoon, like that. I don't know. It called to me pretty strongly this year.
Yeah, like the thing with the 3 3/4, and I jumped into them with the Force Awakens, is I love the card backs, and they went back to the 5 POA. The price point dropped down to about $7 to $9. To me, those are. I try not to be a completist, but I've got both lines of the Force Awakens and Rogue One in 3 3/4, the whole set. And
oh wow,
I did because they just were there. Like you could buy them yesterday on the weekend for $3. The Rogue One ones at Toys R Us. And so I'm picking the ones I don't have off the shelf at this point and kind of doubling up on some. But to me, for those, is I love the card art. Like the Black Series is fine, but it's fairly generic. The card art on the 3 3/4 just pulls me in. The colors, the kind of the character portraits they have there, as well, it kind of calls back a bit to the vintage series. And that's what kind of got me back into collecting when I was in university. Was my dad bought me a case of vintage action figures, and so that holds kind of a close place in my heart as far as my connection to Star Wars and my connection to collecting. And those figures are so reminiscent of the original vintage run, outside of kind of they're much more well sculpted, but just the 5 POA, the card art's nice, and kind of how the line is quite expansive, and I like that aspect of it. And that's what's drawn me into the 3.75 inch. And I don't see myself ever veering away from them. I don't love the card art on the Last Jedi figures, but to this point, everyone I've seen, I've picked up. So again, kind of bordering on that obsession, but the price point is pretty good for the 3.75 inch, the 3 3/4 inch.
Yeah, that's it. I didn't feel too bad. Like, you drop a bill and you're getting like, I don't know, 8 to 10 figures close to,
Yeah. It's much more manageable. Like you look at the Black Series, we all collect the Black Series. We're almost completists, I would say, in this sense. I'm starting to kind of drop certain things out as they replicate from the 40th anniversary line, or they're kind of pulling in other figures from, the Vader was replicated and the Sand Person was all replicated. And I didn't grab those, but at the same time, you look at these, they're $30 a pop Canadian plus your taxes. and you're getting a whole wave of 6 or so, you're looking at quite a bit of money on a single drop. And
Yeah, it's like over it's 250 pretty much.
It's crazy for, in the barest of essence, the plastic sculpts of things we see on the screen. And it's hard to justify that sometimes. So we've come up with kind of like these plans, nothing over $35, and trying to identify the individual figures that are going to be harder to find and try to grab them first and let the other ones linger on the pegs a little bit. It's all about, for me, having a plan for collecting, and that's really only developed in 2017 for me, because before it was just, I'll just get everything, I'll order it from Big Bad Toy Store or Dorkside Toys and just make sure I have it all. And then I stepped back and realized, oh crap, I'm paying American dollars for these, I'm paying for postage, and then all of a sudden I'm getting these Black Series figures and I'm paying $45 a pop for them, which is mental. So that was another kind of big realization. I was like, okay, gotta step back here and figure out how to do this much more economically, because it's just going to drive my wallet into the ground. And it's going to be to the point where I can't feed my family anymore, but hell, I've got a great collection.
Yeah, that's when it's time to start selling, and that's what you don't want.
No, never. So how did you guys find yourself kind of developing a plan for collecting? Like, did you find yourself kind of evolving through the year as things got more intense, kind of stepping back? Do you have any plans, Cory? Like, do you go in with kind of a $35 rule? Do you go in with any sort of idea of how to collect?
I guess it depends more or less. Like, I know for the most part, like, what I'm looking for, but at a point there was no rhyme or reason. Like, it was kind of out of control. I was just kind of purchasing stuff, and having listened to you guys, and your price point thing it's a good point. Sometimes I need to listen to it a little more, in the sense that, but again, I haven't seen all that much from wave 2 of the latest wave. I haven't seen much at all, and that's really disappointing.
Is that the Maz Canada wave in that you're?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so I jumped the gun on a lot of that stuff, because like Gree, I purchased. I was like, this is going to be a hot commodity, but they are just teeming with them over here, and they're still not budging.
Yeah, stacked
price point. But there's a lot of characters, I guess, that I've seen that I wanted, and I'm like, I'll be back for you, and they're gone, never to be seen again. So sometimes I get a little nervous like that, because I again don't like paying for postage and all that crap either. But yeah, more character focused, like Troy had said, and just, trying to be a little more patient in the sense that, these guys will come around. Keep my ear to the ground for the most part, again, through you guys. Like, you guys help guide me through the 40th anniversary collection, saying this guy's going to be a little more rare. This guy's going to be like, a couple more per box. So in that regard, I was kind of able to say, like, okay. And I had a feeling too, what characters are kind of linger a bit more than others.
Right. Yep.
So you go with your gut sometimes.
And a lot of that too has come just trial and error. Like, our ability to try and predict how these are going to drop out, what's going to be lingering, has come because I've been burned so many times. Like, I tell a story, like when the original Boba Fett Black Series came out, I couldn't find it anywhere, and I panicked. I bought it at a local comic book shop for like $65 because I thought, I'm never going to see this again. And then a week later, I wander into the Disney store of all places, and what's sitting there? 6 Boba Fetts.
Wow.
Yeah, and they're like $22 a piece. I was so upset. And so that's when I got to the point, and this was quite a few years ago still. And that's when I got to the point I was like, okay, I need to be a bit more patient on this. And sometimes it's that trial by fire. Like, you got to get burned before you're ready to take a step back, because I still have never learned my lesson, because this year one of my biggest purchase regrets has been the 40th anniversary Darth Vader. I bought it the first day it came out. I paid $80 for it, and Troy's bought 4 of them for the price I bought 1 for. And so that's where the $35 rule came in for us.
Right.
It came
guilty as charged as well, man.
Yeah, well, to me, when I looked at these and when they were first announced, I can't remember if it was announced at the celebration before 2017 or where exactly, or maybe Toy Fair they started showing up. I looked at this kit and I was like, this thing is going to fly off the shelves.
Yeah.
I thought, there's no way. It's Vader. It's this really cool 6-inch stand. The box's art is awesome. I thought for sure this is going to disappear. $80 price point, that's a lot, but at the same time, there's a lot of collectors out there. And this thing hung out forever. Like, you can still get it for, it's down at $40 at some places, but Troy, you saw it for 20. And
Yeah, it's weird. And on the Walmart's website, it's $258 right now, $258. It's crazy.
What?
So,
Really?
yeah, if you go online right now for Walmart, it's $258 or $249. It's crazy.
That's got to be a typo, man.
Yeah, it's been like that for a while. I've all throughout this month, it's been that price. I don't know what's going on with their website, but the price has been jacked up on that figure. It's crazy.
Ugh, I would never pay that.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
never.
that was disappointing though, because I saw it. I hadn't seen it at Walmart yet, and I knew it was out there, and the line was out there, and I kind of started to see how the 40th anniversary was a bit scraggly, kind of, if you will. Like here and there, I was seeing pieces, nothing cohesive. Like I wasn't able to purchase the whole set in one shot, kind of. So when I saw Vader at Toys R Us, I was like, oh my God, I gotta get this.
Yes. I know that exact feeling. That's that euphoric moment like I spoke about. Like, oh my God, I have my hands on this. I need to get it.
Yeah.
But if you go now, 2017 has been a perfect example. Anything over $35 has shelf camped. Even the speeders and that, I thought when I first saw them, okay, these things are going to disappear. There's still the same 5 boxes at EB Games at $100 a piece.
Yep.
Pop.
$100.
You know, I haven't even seen one of those in stores. I've been to 3 different EB Games, never even seen one.
Yeah, they're stacked over here. No one's touching them. No one's even budging on those things. EB Games, I think if you go to the Toys R Us website, they're stacked pretty deep, and no one's
Toys
budging
R Us and EB Games are horrible for that. Like, I'll tell you guys, one time I went to the Honey Hole, which is a Walmart near where I live.
Shh.
And the prices here, they fluctuate so much. Like, it doesn't make sense. I walked in one time this summer, and Black Series figures, and they were like, there was a huge section of Black Series guys, $10.
Wow.
What?
Yeah, it lasted about a week. So like I picked up as many as my budget permitted that month. Nothing spectacular, but you know, it was like, Christ, I can just buy Troopers if I want or whatever. But I got some good. They still had some choice characters left, so I was like, wow, man. And then, you know, some weeks they're like 15, or like the ones that shouldn't be cheap, like Lando when it came out. Like I was like, man, like he just came out, and it was $15. Whereas all the crappy other ones they have on the shelves, like Zuvio and all that, are still $29.
I still have not seen a Lando from that wave. That has probably been the hardest wave to find throughout this year. That Qui-Gon Lando wave.
Yeah, I went online to get my Qui-Gon. I was like, forget this, I'm doing it.
Yeah, Walmart. Yeah, I got him off Walmart, and Lando. I think I got Lando off there too. I think this year the cheapest we had was a $15 point for some of the waves, like the Ahsoka wave and the old Ben Kenobi, couple Rogue One figures. They went down to $15, but $10, that's a steal, man. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. So, I thought it must have been some kind of error.
Yeah. A good error on your end.
Yeah.
So I mentioned that I have kind of this big regret purchase this year, that I did purchase that Vader. Do you guys have any big regret purchases or regret non-purchase? You picked up a figure and said, look, I'm sure this will be here next time. I'll put it down. I've got to buy a few other things. I've got, a few other action figures in here. I got to pick and choose between 2 or 3 of them. You put one down and then you never saw it again. Do you have anything like that from this year?
I don't. Well, kind of do, kind of don't. It's funny, I did see the Vader for the first time, and it was $79, and I had it in my cart, and I took a picture of it, and I put it back, and I thought I was going to have a big regret, and then, down the road, I found it for $40. So I don't really regret paying $40 for the figure and then, stocking up on it again down the road, but I kind of had a bit of both of what you just mentioned there. So that's probably about it for me. I guess my biggest regret not getting or even seeing was probably just the Sand People. I could never find those guys. That's about it. Everything else, I think I did all right this season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Cory? Any regret purchases this year?
Regrets? Maybe. I think I bought a little too much, possibly. Like opened up too many can of worms where I'm just gonna probably have to continue with them a bit. For the most part, again, like my stuff's character driven. Like I want to get like the leads in a film, like at least like 6 or 7 leads.
Yes.
And a couple guys that I had a really hard time finding was Baze Chirrut.
And you found those two?
I found all three of them at one point at the honey hole, right? And I was like, ooh, my budget only permits one right now. And I ended up picking up a Ravan, Darth
Oh,
Ravan.
Darth
Oh, you found
Revan.
him, nice.
Oh,
Yeah, it was
Dude.
like freshly stocked, man. It was like brand spanking new. I had to dig, like, you know how they have them on the shelves there? Like if it's on one shelf that just kind of fits those Black Series and they're like maybe 5, 6 wide.
yeah.
It's like, dude, I'm rearranging that entire shelf, like going through, and then the one you want's always the last one you find, right in the middle at the last little dude. So anyway, I found that pack and I was like, I'll be back for you, Bays and Chirrut.
Nice.
And I found the Bay, like I went back for Bays and Chirrut, they were gone.
Oh,
And I found Bays
no.
one other time. I've only seen him one other time. I picked him up right away, but Chirrut's still been he's not a part of the collection yet.
yeah, that was another hard wave to find because for me that wave it was I saw Bay's Chirrut, and then I also saw the first wave of the 40th anniversary. So I went randomly into a Walmart and I ended up walking out with like 8 action figures at $30 a pop. And
Yeah.
but I'm happy I did that because I've literally never seen Bays and Chirrut again, other than that one time I saw them at that Walmart.
So true, man.
And
I saw them once at Walmart, and that's it.
And that's
What wave were they anyways?
what's that?
What wave were those guys anyways for Rogue One? The second one?
I think they were like a chase pack. Like they came. Sometimes they swap out figures in a wave,
Right.
and I think they were kind of just
Right.
swap outs, and they came with like probably a Jin, a Cassian, and a K2 or something. You know, because we still have those still, most of them stacked pretty deep.
Oh,
So
yeah,
it looks
all
like
over.
they're a swap out because it was just really them two in the Black Series line. That when I remember going and picking them up, and I had every other figure already that was kind of stacked along with them that likely came in the case alongside them. So sometimes they just have these like weird random figures. Like even that Qui-Gon wave in that, it was kind of similar to that. It was just
Yeah.
like a repack wave, and you had, I think there's a Krennic in there and maybe a K2 that came in with that wave. It was just kind of like lingering figures that you got that didn't really get much distribution because they were getting ready to stock up with the Last Jedi figures.
Yeah, that's right. That was a weird one.
Yeah. So how about biggest purchases for this year? You know, we've all really had a great collecting year, a really intense year. What are some of the biggest purchases you made, both from maybe financially or just the best purchases you've made? I'm gonna throw this one to you first, Cory.
I think the Ravan one was a pretty big rush for me.
Yeah.
Man, I guess the biggest financial one, which isn't really that big, was the Black Series Stormtrooper helmet.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's nice. It's cool. Don't really have it on display or anything yet. It's still in the box, but it is cool. I played with it a bit. I had a Princess Leia issue 1 blank variant cover. I
remember
had Jeff
you showing
Isherwood.
that.
Yeah, Jeff Isherwood, former DC Marvel artist. I had him
Nice.
do a little cover on that. That was kind of neat. But I think my White Whale this year, the thing that I was most happy about getting, and again, it's not really all that much, but it's so much. It meant so much to find this thing because you guys know the struggle on this one that I went through. The 40th anniversary, I really wanted to complete that line,
Mm-hmm.
even though technically I still haven't because hopefully Kyle's going to give me his X-Wing Luke.
I think we had to perform some sort of heist.
No, I think I'm just. You just got to do it, man. He's just got to sense
him
that it's the
down.
wills of the Force, and he's gonna do. I believe that Kyle's gonna do the right thing. He's gonna send him home where he belongs with the rest of his boys. There's 13 of them now. We got to round that number out to a nice even number. But it was really was R2, man, because I was so close to buying R2. I found every 40th anniversary figure retail in the store. And it was a bit of a hunt. When I saw them like you, Tim, I'd seen them and I said, I best pick these up now before it's too late, right? I ordered Chewbacca from Walmart online. Luckily that panned out. And then I bought the Tusken Raider at Comic-Con at an inflated price.
How much was that one, if you don't mind me asking?
It's really it's quite a funny story, man.
Yeah.
I'm there, and this guy, his booth was closed off. You couldn't really get into his display part.
Mhm.
So I didn't have my glasses with me, and I'm struggling. The guy's like, yeah, come in, look at everything, you know? So I'm like, I see he's got a fresh box of this wave, like this in the packaging still, you know?
Oh,
And he's like, oh yeah, I'll bust it open. So it's all the second wave of the 40th. And I'm like, oh, hook me up that Tusken Raider. He's like, $50. I'm just like, all right, cool. I'm like, I don't care. I'm doing it. Boom.
Yeah.
And I'm walking out with it, and one of his partner, he sees me walking out with it, and he's like, he looks at me, he's like, looks at the toy, and he's like, that'll be $75.
What?
Yeah, and I'm like, I just paid your buddy over there. Like, thanks. Like, it's just they're making up as they go, man.
Oh
Whatever
yeah,
it is.
cons are brutal.
Oh man.
Yeah, so I almost purchased the R2 there as well. Like, I looked at the budget. I had a pretty good con. It was toward the end of the day. I finally found R2. It was only the one shop out of all these booths, and it was massive, massive convention. And the guy's like $100, and I'm like,
Whoa.
bro. I dug through the wallet. I'm like, I'll give you 70 right now. He's like, nope. I was like,
My God.
yeah. I was like, 75 is like that's the top of the mark, man. And he was just like,
Yeah.
nope. And then I don't know, probably back in October, I was going out for dinner with a buddy, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna stop in Toys R Us first. It's like right beside where we were going. And lo and behold, I had been to this Toys R Us like weekly almost. It's right beside Walmart, so we kind of do the family thing. I can run over there for a second, and I see 40th anniversary Han back on the shelves. Like, it was a while now since the first wave had come out, so I was like, are you kidding me? Like, how's he back? And I'm like, wait a minute. It kind of like it just became like a dream. And then like I just ran over there, and like I kind of just peeked behind the next one. I saw there was a tinge of blue. I was like, yeah, could it really be? And it was R2, man. I was like, are you kidding me, man? Like, that was such a crucial score. Felt that was a big score for me.
Those are the moments, man. Those are the
Yeah.
moments the collectors live for. I know exactly what you're talking about. Dipping into a Toys R Us or Walmart on your way to see a buddy or on your way home from work or whatever. I do it all the time. It takes a couple minutes to dip in, rummage through the aisle. I always check below. I always check above in Toys R Us to make sure no one's shoved anything up top. But those are the moments. Those are when the hunt is real, and I love that, man. I love that you can capture those moments and think back and be like, yes, this is why we collect. Yes, we love the items, but it's more about, for me at least, it's about the hunt, and it's about sharing those experiences with people like yourself, Cory and Troy. Like, I love that aspect about collecting as much as I love the actual action figures.
I got you there, man.
Yeah.
Even
Definitely.
Force Friday, man. I had the guy literally. I walked around the store for like maybe a good 15 minutes. I didn't see anything, and I was like, "Oh man, come on!" Then someone asked me like, "Do you need any help?" I'm like, "Yeah, this wave's supposed to drop today of all this awesome stuff." And he's like, "Oh yeah, it's right over here." And he just wheeled it over, man, on his jigger or his hand pallet truck, whatever. And like, I just watched him cut it open, the display, and I just like had at like my pick of the crop. It was incredible.
Yeah.
That's
Force Friday.
sick.
Yeah. Well, how about you, Troy, man? What's been your biggest and best purchase for 2017 in Star Wars collecting?
Oh, I don't know, man. I just like a broken record, but it's going to go back to Vader, and for two reasons. It's I like you mentioned, I can't remember if it's Comic-Con or New York Toy Fair, but when they first dropped the 40th anniversary images, they looked unreal to me. I thought they looked so good, especially I did have the original Vader Black Series, and even when I finally got it, I wasn't really impressed with that figure. And when we finally got to see what they did with the Rogue One Episode 4 Vader, I was just in love with this figure right off the bat. I was looking at it up and down and just thinking of all the different things I can do to that figure to just make it the way I want. Taking it out of the box, like the poses you can get out of that figure is great. His cape's awesome, has a nice weight to it. The shape of his helmet is perfect, and man, it's probably one of my favorite Black Series of all time. So that's why I doubled up on that thing like tons. So it's gonna go with Vader. It's probably my most expensive one too, because I haven't touched any deluxe sets or anything like that. I'm not chasing the speeders for the price that they're at right now. So I think when I did get that Vader was $40, which is $10 more than the average Black Series. So it's gonna go to that figure. And to throw it out there, my most underrated figure was Kylo Ren for The Last Jedi. He's actually a really sweet figure. He's a lot better looking than the Force Awakens one, the maskless one. They made like some big improvements with this figure. So those are my top two. He's pretty easy to get to, Kylo Ren. You can get him anywhere right now, but
Yeah,
he's a
I've
great
seen him
figure. Yeah, I kind of fall in this path where I'm doubling up on some figures to take him out just for the posability, the articulation, and the Black Series
for
is
sure.
so cool. You know what I mean? And if you still have an extra Kylo Ren from the last wave, you can pop that helmet off, throw it on this Last Jedi figure, and he just looks great. He's awesome. So I'm all about those two figures right now.
Well, I
customize
can
it.
definitely attest. I can definitely attest to that because sometimes I buy. Well, I buy stuff for the giveaways, right? And
Right.
a while back, I gave Kyle this just massive bag of stuff, and I had all of it. Like everything that was in that bag, I already had. But when he came to take it, I was just like, my precious, like no, like you can't have it.
Oh,
For
that
Just
sure.
quickly, just to mention as well, like Kyle, he found this amazing score. I don't know if he told you about it, Tim. He must have last week.
which one?
But he was at Toys R Us last week. He got the Black Series TIE Fighter, which
Oh
is
yeah,
absolutely enormous. $40, and it comes with the
What?
figure. Yeah, $40.
It's $40 now.
I don't know. I think he found it at Toys R Us, but either way, he came home with it, and it's just massive. But with the figure, like
yeah.
that's
There's
a little better than a display.
Yeah, well, I tell you, another story where I got seriously burned. I bought that thing at $150.
Interesting.
So it was another one of those things. It was like a panic moment for me. It must have been either early 2017, late 2016, when I saw this, because I was like, oh my god, I'm never gonna see this again. This is another one of those moments before we kind of installed these rules within the nerd room. Is like I thought it was going to disappear, and lo and behold, it's still kicking around. And so that was another one of those moments, like trial by error. This was something I had to get burned on to understand how to collect better. And that's one thing that we're always trying to do here, is we're trying to help people collect better through the mistakes that we've made. And that's why we've come up with some of these rules. But yeah, that's
The protocol, the
yeah,
nerd room protocol.
it's got to be there, man. And then there's the
Oh,
ABC of the nerd room. Always be collecting. Going to any store, you always take a dip down into the toy aisle. You never know what you're gonna find in there. That's one I always love too. But
It's hard to justify sometimes. Anyway, in my situation, anyhow, if I saw all that stuff and I was with my wife and I was like, oh my god, I have to get these like 8 figures right now. Like that wouldn't go over.
yeah, how's that?
You know what I mean?
That's an interesting question, because that comes into play a lot here. Because we all got wives. They're reasonable humans. Sometimes we're not when it comes to collecting. How do they act towards your obsession here, or what we'll call an obsession for each individual one of us? But how do your wives kind of, like, do they participate? Do they support it, or are they very much like you're buying figures and kind of hiding them underneath the table?
I'm a little more toward the latter. Like, yeah, definitely. Like she definitely knows. Like she sees the boxes and all that stuff. But I'm pretty sure she knew the price points and all that. We'd be having a discussion. But no, she hooked me up with one of my favorite toys ever, man. Like that 3-pack Black Series Astromech.
Oh yeah, it's a sweet one.
Yeah, she hooked me up with that for Christmas and last year. So that was pretty cool. So she kind of gets it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Troy, you're a few months into marriage now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, she's been great. She's always been great. She got my Darth Revan, one of my favorite Star Wars characters of all time, and that was such a hard find. So she got me that, and man, my Christmas is looking pretty good. I know a couple of other Black Series that she managed to pull for me, and yeah, so she's good. She supports it, and she's even gonna support me in my venture as I make way to the Hot Toys. It's gonna happen in 2018. I'm going there, and yeah, it's happening. That
You're
Hot Toys
making the switch.
Making the switch, man. I'm making the switch. I'm committed. I can't wait to make that switch. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, she's been good.
Yeah, my wife's the same too. She's very supportive of it all, which is it's good. She's even more so like, oh, you should probably buy it because you're never gonna see it again. I have to be like, no, it's okay. I'll be able to get it again. Don't worry about that. So I always love that about her, and she's responsible for some of the bigger pieces I have in here, and she's always kind of, this is your hobby. This is the thing you do. You don't do other things, so this is kind of your thing, and you love it, and you podcast about it, and this has become kind of what I love about it too. And I was saying about sharing these experiences. This is over the last years is getting to know you, Cory, and kind of sharing all of that with you. And so it's become kind of a segue into a much bigger friendship. And I really love that aspect of it. And she recognizes that, and I think that's important in anyone that you're kind of, especially with the price at some of these, right? It's good. Sometimes I have to, put things underneath the table for a little bit, especially when I come home with a $250 wave of Black Series figures.
That's it. Like that's one thing I wanted to ask you guys. Like, how do you guys like really go about it? Like, for the Force Awakens and the Rogue One, like, did you guys get like all the main leads and stuff, or just like is it certain characters that stick out that you say, this guy's gonna represent this movie for me?
The first wave on for Rogue One this year, or late last year, early into this year, I got everything. And same with the Force Awakens. Like I have the entire Elite Series line for the Force Awakens, the entire Black Series line. Rogue One, I would say I'm 90% complete on everything. So
Jesus.
I don't quite have that same focus. My focus is almost completionist when it comes to the Black Series in particular. I've really scaled back on the Elite Series this year because that's another big realization I had, is that these things shelf camp big time. And so I've only bought 2 this year, and I'm going to wait until they're half price. They're $33 now. They'll be $12 by March, maybe into May, when they're trying to clear the way for the Han Solo stuff that's going to come. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things that I am a completist to a degree for the Black Series. I don't really focus in on anything except for having all of it.
It's hard, man. Like even me now, like I got started this year, right? So now I'm looking back in the past and all these lines that they had, and I'm like, well, I want Empire Luke, and I want like Empire Han and A New Hope Luke, and it's horrible.
Yeah, I'll throw a picture up on Twitter later on tomorrow or the next day. I think I'm only missing from the Black Series collection. I'm maybe 10 or 12 figures of probably. There's got to be well over 100 of them.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I started collecting these when they first dropped, like in 2013. I think they started coming out, or 14. I can't remember. Like I remember Target was here at the time in Canada, going to a Target and picking up the R2-D2, the Darth Maul, the X-Wing pilot Luke in the original Black Series box. Like I have all of those. And
Those are worth a pretty penny now too.
yeah, because they're impossible to get. But it's one of those things that like mine goes, like I step back even further. Like I take responsibility, or a good chunk of it, for Troy getting as intensely into collecting as he has. And I like to think that we maybe influenced you a little bit, Cory. And I've got other friends that I've done the same thing to, and so I'm a bit like the emperor on that end. But it's like I said, it's fun, it's good stuff. And when I look back on 2017 this year, I have to say, man, and this is gonna just break Cory, my biggest and best purchase was the X-Wing pilot Luke from the 40th anniversary. And Rob Cast, shout out to Rob, he sent it to me. He was at Celebration, grabbed it, he FaceTimed me while he was at Celebration, and I was at home with my parents. It's funny because this marks another moment in my life. I was at home with my parents, and it was right after my sister had her first baby. And I'm on the phone FaceTiming with Rob Cast, and he's showing me this X-Wing Luke that he has, what he's standing down at Celebration. And he's like, this one's for you, man. This one's for you. You texted me before and said, dude, if you can get this, I'll pick it up for you. And he did it. And that's like my favorite piece from this year, because it has some significance emotionally to me, and because it's so hard to get. And I paid him $35, what he paid for it at the con. And so that was
he's a good man, that Robert Cass.
Yes, he is. He's my dude. So that's like it's it's in line with the price point that I wanted to pay for it, but it's also the exclusivity. It's got a story behind it. He brought it back from Celebration. He experienced, like he's told me a story a few times about how he got it, him and Mark from over at TSW. So there's like this big like Commonwealth story behind it. So not only does it have that importance for the collection, but to me it has much more of like a nostalgic and kind of connection to something bigger, especially with the Commonwealth, that for us, Troy and I especially, like it's become a huge part, because joining kind of late in 2016, was it? How long have we been? I can't remember how long we've been.
16, I think late 16.
And because it was in our year anniversary that we kind of joined up. So 2017 has been like our first full year. We must be coming up on our anniversary of being part of the Commonwealth. And so that figure in itself has like a much bigger connection to something that's become a huge part of my life. And so that's why I love that figure. That's like my favorite purchase of this year, because it has both, a collecting importance and an emotional importance.
Dude, I totally remember that whole thing going down. Like, we have like the Commonwealth like group, where the hosts are kind of chatting every now and again, like coordinating and whatnot. And like you were asking Rob, and then after, I still remember like you had tweeted, like he had tweeted, I got you it. and you were like, oh my God. And I was like, bastard. No, but really, honestly, like Kyle's belongs in my, like yours is yours, but Kyle's belongs with me.
We'll start some sort of Star Wars Commonwealth petition to get the X-Wing Luke
We,
over.
we should, like, think about it, man.
Oh, man. Yeah, I think, you know what? I'm going to say right here, Kyle, if you're listening, man, do the right thing. Give that over to your dude. Give that over to Cory. He's going to hate that.
I love you, Tim.
We'll see what we can maybe we'll conjure up something here later on in the year that can entice him a little bit to maybe send it over your way.
I'm relentless, as you know. So,
well, you know what, guys? All in all, I think 2017 has been a huge year for collecting. Like, we didn't even really touch on Lego or Funko Pops and all that. So there's a lot out there. You know, we're big Black Series collectors, and you know, we're all about the 6-inch style, the way that they're sculpted, how they look, and how they're just displayed. And I absolutely love them. But you know, at this point in time, 2017 is almost over. We're riding into The Last Jedi here. We're going to see Wave 3 hopefully in a couple weeks, maybe into the new year. But let's talk a little bit about 2018 and build that anticipation. We've got what's going to be the back end, probably Wave 4 and 5 of The Last Jedi. But one anomaly that we're going to have here going into 2018 is Solo. That movie comes out in May, still slated for May, shockingly enough. But we're going to have action figures now dropping on top of The Last Jedi, Wave 4 and 5, for Solo. Like, we're not going to have a proper Force Friday this year because we're not going to have that September reveal. It's going to have to be sometime maybe in, you know, March or April. So how are you guys looking at 2018 with what's going to be the first time we don't have a set of figures that are at least 1 year apart from two different movies?
I don't know. Yeah, let's hope they linger.
Yeah, this will be interesting, eh? This wave of the Solo figures. I don't really know what to think about it. I still haven't necessarily been super hyped about this film. Actually, no. Listening back to Tumbling Saber a little while back, I think it's Kyle. Kyle mentioned he kind of piqued my interest in the film a little bit more when you guys were talking about the title of Solo and what it could possibly mean. And I have to admit that kind of rose my interest in this film a little bit more. So I am a little bit more excited, at least now, for the Han Solo film. But for the figures, we'll have to see. I don't really know what they're going to do here, what kind of characters we're going to get. It should be interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm gonna have to play it by ear as well. Black Series figures, who knows? Like I was saying before, I like to get the leads at least, you know, like a representation of the film to some degree. But I don't know. We'll have to see the film and see who stands out, kind of, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, first wave, I'll definitely, if they're all original figures, like new figures, I'll definitely be grabbing the first wave. I'm almost assuming that they're going to do maybe 4 figures and then either repack or push some Last Jedi figures into that wave, to that first Solo wave. I'm going to do the 3 3/4 inch if they are actually releasing it. I'm expecting probably a smaller release, because it's not a saga film. It's kind of it still doesn't even have that same hype that Rogue One had at this point in its cycle, because we still don't have a trailer or anything like that. So I'm still quite committed to the Black Series going to Solo. I'm not going to do a wait and see. I'm just going to grab them as they go. I'm going to roll into this with the expectation that I'm going to love it. And I think for me, like 2018 is just going to be very similar to 2017. It's focusing. It's making sure that I'm buying these things economically and doing my collecting the right way. So it's becoming less of kind of this kind of scatterbrain approach to collecting and more about how do I do this properly. And that's one thing that I love talking about and love shooting you messages too, Cory, is I think we can all learn from each other. You know, some of the stuff we've talked about tonight and some of the stuff that we're going to learn going into 2018 is how do we collect better? And I want to make sure that, you know, we're always whether it's on Tumbling Saber or here in the Nerd Room, we're always trying to help, you know, people collect better. Because when collectors, I find, are happy and we're getting the distribution, it's a lot more fun within the community when everyone's happy and finding everything. I don't like the negativity that we sometimes get into because it kind of takes away from my hobby. So 2018, for me, it's all about getting into Solo, finishing off The Last Jedi with the Black Series 3 3/4 inch, continuing with things like Smuggler's Bounty, kind of relying a bit more on the Elite series for more of my statue-like things, and just enjoying collecting and sharing it with you, Cory, sharing it with you, Troy. And that's what 2018 for me is going to look like in collecting.
Well, I hope so too, in a way. Like, gotta rein it in a bit, but in the same regard, like I hope, like you said if the distribution is there, because one thing I noticed as my disease progressed was that I was becoming increasingly frustrated with a lot of the distribution, and it wasn't fun. Like at a point, it was actual, like I was actually mad. Like I want this figure. Why is it not available? Like everyone else across the country's got it, not me. I'm like,
Yeah, that plastic anxiety.
Yep.
It does, and that's the thing. That was a big realization for me this year, is that, you know what? It's okay if you can't find things, because usually eventually you'll find them, and that's part of the hunt a bit, right? Is that you need to have that white whale, that figure you can't find, because when you do find it, like your Han Solo story and R2 story, right? Is when you do find it, you're like, oh my God, I've been waiting for literally 6 months to find this. To me, it just makes, the taste of that success so much better.
That's so true.
Yeah,
I could have fell on my knees that day, man. Honestly,
I
you know what I mean.
It's so funny because I know the exact feeling. Like that's what you're. It's almost like a high, right? You're kind of chasing that for that one single moment, and at the end of the day, the best part sometimes about collecting is finding the figure. When you get it and bring it home, you own it. And so that's kind of like that feeling, that relief of what I always call the plastic anxiety. But it's that moment in the store, and and then I love it. You just throw it up on Twitter. You're like, look what I found, guys. And everyone's like, oh my God, where'd you find that? It's, to me, it's all about that. Like, I know I said it a few times, but it's about kind of the brethren that we've constructed in the Commonwealth and amongst a few other people, kind of around on Twitter. We've never met each other in person, but I feel like when I'm running into a store, the first thing I want to do when I find something is text Cory or text Troy. You know what I mean?
That's awesome. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, man.
Good times to be had in 2018. And now, Troy, you've alluded to it. You've even said it. Hot toys are on your radar.
Yeah, man.
What's gonna drop? What's gonna drop off for you in 2018 if you're gonna step into the big boy world of hot toys?
Well, we just mentioned Han Solo. I'm hoping, kind of bad or good here, but I'm kind of hoping that for me at least, the wave doesn't catch me that hard, so I can actually, jump full on into the hot toys route. I'm gonna try and start with that Anakin, because I've just been obsessing with it since you tweeted the picture from that. I think, was it Comic-Con or was that Celebration? I think Celebration.
Sorry, I tweeted that.
I remember. Yeah. I remember the one you guys are talking about.
Yeah. Whenever you tweeted that, I'm pretty sure it's Celebration, and man, ever since then, I'm like, I want to make that jump. I don't know if I can say the same about the MCU stuff, but for Star Wars at least, I think I might be ready at that point to commit to it and scale back even more so on the Black Series stuff, and really just stick with the leads and the villains, pay no mind to the side characters or the vehicles, and just embrace the hot toys, man. Because that's just where I want to go with those. I think they're great. I can take them out of the box. I'm really starting to fall kind of down this hole of unboxing things now.
Yeah.
Just getting the articulation right, you know what I mean, and posing these figures. And I think what other figure to do it best than the hot toys. So yeah, that's what 2018 looks like is going to bring my way for now, at least I'd say.
Yeah. Cory, you ever thinking about dipping into hot toys?
Maybe for certain characters, not from a real collecting standpoint. Like I got to get them all. Like there's certain characters that stand out to me, like that want like. So this thing, like, I think eventually when I do kind of end up displaying things, I think they're going to be, once I unveil it all and look at it, I'm going to be like, okay, well, there's certain characters that kind of be reappearing here. Mm-hmm. Like, those are obviously your more favorite characters, and, it's nice to have a really, really nice representation of them as well. And Anakin's right up there at the top of my list as well, man.
Nice.
One alternative that I will offer up that I've kind of started to go down this route instead of a hot toy. Now, it nowhere compares to a hot toy at all. Is this Elite series? I'll tell you one thing. It's, again, nothing like a hot toy, but I've started unboxing these because I'm getting them at a lower price point, so I'm doubling up on some. But they're almost like statues, these die casts. So I've unboxed the Kylo Ren, the K2SO, and a couple others. And I'm really, really, really contemplating unboxing the entire collection at this point. They come with a cool
nice.
stand. Their posability is quite nice. If you can get them, the back have screws on them, so if you got capes or you're not facing them, reverse or trying to do any majorly articulated poses, you can hide a lot of that. But they're almost acting like a statue, like that kind of SH Figure Arts type statue, the Artifacts
Right.
Plus, right? But those don't have any posability where the Elite Series do. So they're almost falling into that void for me where I want to open the Black Series, but I'm never going to do it. Where these Elite Series are filling in that void for me. Because I agree with you. Like, I'm always an inbox collector, but I'm starting to teeter on the edge a little bit. I'm seeing what you're doing over there, Troy, with the pictures you're posting when I come over to the house and come down to your nerd room. And I'm like, whoa, man, like, this looks good. So
Yeah, the articulation. Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
I'm getting that fixed from this Elite Series right now, and I'm really, really thinking about opening them up when we move into the new house. I don't know,
Nice.
but I'm kind of teetering. I need someone to push me over the edge and give me a reason to do it, but I'm almost there.
Yeah, the weight behind those figures too, eh? The weight behind the Elite
yeah.
series is great. They're awesome. I really do like the weight of those things. The articulation, I don't know. You've been collecting them. Have they changed much from the Force Awakens line and Rogue One line?
Not
Or are they
really.
still kind of
Like,
the same?
the articulation isn't all that too dissimilar from the Black Series. But there are some limitations. Like, it's just with the weight. The K2 is one of the ones that struggles because he's so top heavy.
Yeah.
That the legs don't really support the weight that well. And then also you run into the problem with what we've always talked about is the sculpt and the face paint applications for the human
Yeah.
figures. It just don't look good. It's the armored figures, the aliens, and the droids that are really superior for this line. And those are the ones I really focus in on. The face paint apps for The Last Jedi are better. And like the Luke looks pretty good, but they're still not as good as the Black Series on that end. So they do fall short there.
Because the Black Series seems to be getting better. I think with Hasbro, that modeling they do now, the 3D printing from the Marvel Legends and the Black Series, the face sculpts have just gone incredible.
Yeah.
From before.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Luke right now and the Thrawn, and both of them look just like the Thrawn is, again, albeit an alien, but they look really, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyways, guys, so that more or less wraps it up for us in this episode. I've had an absolute blast talking collecting here. I think we could go on probably for hours telling different stories about collecting, but overall, 2017 has been one hell of a year for collecting. I'm looking forward to forging into 2018 to see what Hasbro and Star Wars has on tap for all of us. Is there going to be a big reveal like we had this year for the 40th anniversary? Because we're going to get into, if you remember, the vintage line is coming back, the 3 3/4 inch, highly articulated vintage cardback line for the Force Awakens and Rogue One figures. So that's a big thing coming in 2018. Hot toys, that's on the tip of all of our tongues. Well, maybe less so mine, maybe more so Troy's. But big things for 2018. And Cory, I think we should maybe try to do these a little more often. We talk collecting, because it's hard to wrap 1 year up with all the stories we have. It kind of all blends together for me. So you have to make a promise to us, man, that you're going to come back and talk some collecting in a very short amount of time. Maybe in the build up to whatever Solo Friday that we're going to have here in the build up to Han Solo.
Hey man, anytime you guys want to have me, like, honestly, it's so fun talking to you guys. Like, I missed you, man. Like, honestly, I really did. So anytime I'm here, man.
Awesome.
Wicked.
Awesome.
Wicked.
Well,
And do me a favor, guys, before you wrap it up. I remember Sanjay saying something along the lines of, if Solo drops in May, that he'd be wearing a Chewbacca suit to the premiere.
yep.
Please, like, make him stick to his guns, man.
Hold to it. Oh, yeah.
That is 100% enforceable. I think it's at this point, it's not looking good for him. He looked like he's going to lose that bet, and it's going to be amazing if he has to wear a Chewbacca costume to go see that film.
It's fun. It's funny, collecting related. Kyle brought up the most interesting point to me out of all of it. I hadn't even contemplated it at all. Like, okay, they can push it back to December, and it makes sense, and blah 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 blah. But then Kyle said, "Well, wait, like, they're well within production of all these toys."
Yep.
And they're not only toys, there's glasses and all these other accessories. They're well into production of that. You can't ask retailers to hold on to this stuff for another 8 months, or 6 months, whatever it is. You just can't. They won't do it, which is probably another reason why they're sticking to the timeline.
Yeah. I remember him talking about that. Like, the revenue streams are banking on the fact that they're going to have this huge toy push in May and not December, right? So, yeah, good luck to everyone in 2018 when it comes to collecting, because it's going to be a really weird year.
Yep. I got your back, boys.
Yes, I think so. We're going to keep this East-West connection going across the country, supporting each other. And you know what? If you guys want to be part of more collecting discussions, you can always email us at thenerdrm@gmail.com. And we want to hear from you guys. What was your big collecting stories in 2017? What are you looking forward to in 2018? And before we sign off here, Cory, make sure to give Tumbling Saber a little pump and then tell everybody where they can find you on the internet.
Yeah, definitely check me out on Tumbling Saber, Sith Disturbers, and hit me up on Twitter at Chop Rules with a Z.
With the Z. And make sure you get into the Powerful Friends, the Patreon program over at Tumbling Saber. I'm a powerful friend myself, and it is a fantastic program. You're getting exclusive content, like you mentioned, collecting giveaways. You gave away a little something to a good friend of ours in the Star Wars Commonwealth over on Sith Disturbers this past week, so really exciting things there. And the program itself, just incredible. Your Rebels show that you're doing with M now, Carlos coming on board. It's incredible, the expansion of the shows that you guys are doing there and the content that you're producing. So high recommend from both Troy and myself for Tumbling Saber.
Yeah, we both appreciate that. James too.
Yeah.
And Carlos and M.
Yeah, all of you guys. You guys are just killing it over there. And for us here at the Nerd Room, this is the kickoff to Star Wars month. We're going to be going through this whole month of December discussing almost exclusively Star Wars. Because guess what, guys? In 8 days, 7 days as this pod drops, we're going to be sitting and watching The Last Jedi. So you guys can tune in back here next week to hear us discuss our anticipation for The Last Jedi. That's going to be our last show before we go and see the film. The following week will be a Last Jedi review where we'll be discussing and breaking down in a great amount of detail how fantastic this film is, because I just got a feeling it's going to be freaking incredible. And then we're going to follow that up with our year-end review. We're going to talk movies, films, and touch a little bit on collecting for 2017. And if you guys would like to be a part of any of those shows, like I said earlier, you can always email us at thenerdrm@gmail.com. You can hit us up on Twitter. Our handles are at the end of the episode. You can grab us on Facebook or YouTube, and you can always check out thenerdroom.net. You can get a hold of us there, and you can check out some of the articles that we post there periodically, detailing some of the stuff we talk about on the pod, and going through a few things that we don't. So, guys, gentlemen, it's been absolutely fantastic. Cory, thank you very much for joining us here in the Nerd Room. We're going to have you back very soon to talk collecting, maybe a bit of The Last Jedi, and going into what is going to inevitably be a big year for the MCU and DC.
You got it, man. Pleasure's mine.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks for coming through, man. Appreciate it.
Great.
Anytime.
All right, gentlemen, for the Nerd Room, I'm Tim.
I'm Troy.
And I'm Cory. Chop Rules with a Z.
With a Z. And thank you for entering the Nerd Room. This has been a Nerd Room podcast production. You can find our hosts, Tim, Troy, and Sanjay on Twitter at TheNerdRM, TroyTheBoy87, and SunJabby. For more content from the Nerd Room, check out thenerdroom.net. And don't forget to subscribe to the Nerd Room on iTunes, Podbean, and YouTube. Be sure to head over to StarWarsCommonwealth.com to find more podcasts in the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network, including Talk Star Wars, Tumbling Saber, Generation X-Wing, Rogue Squadron Podcast, Skyrim's Podcast, and San Diego Sabres. Follow the Star Wars Commonwealth on Twitter at SW Commonwealth and take your first steps into a larger world.